Hi and welcome back to Kingsclear. So in this episode I'm going to go through the weathering and detailing of this Accurascale Class 31. So in effect this 31 is literally straight out of the box, and for those guys that subscribe to the channel, and if you don't, why not, please do, we'd really appreciate that. You will know that this layout is based in the very late 50s, early 60s, so this livery is completely wrong for the layout. However, it was a livery that I really enjoyed when it was out on BR, and obviously early privatisation, and I decided that I was going to get one. But it's far too clean, as you can see, and it really does need a lot of work doing to it. So over the next couple of hours it will go from this to this. So as you can see, hopefully an improvement. Does actually look a bit more like a loco now. So the next couple of videos we'll just go through how I've got from basically out of a box to something that's half decent. Okay, so the first thing we need to do is make sure that the actual loco is nice and clean, isn't grubby. So just a quick wipe over to make sure there's no grease. We also need to decide which way round we're going to put the super detail. So I'm thinking it's going to be this end. So obviously that's the end the crew's going to be, and where we'll remove the coupling and add the details. So in regard to the details, as you can see, these are all the details that come with the kit. So you've got the obviously the snow plows there, you've got the one piece snow plows, or you've got the individual ones. You've got the BR totems and the Bescott etched totems as well, and you've got obviously the couplings and various other different vac pipes, air pipes, etc. So yes, they are quite difficult to go onto the actual loco, and you've got to be very, very careful that you don't damage them. But the whole point is to get all of that type of information and detail onto the loco before we start weathering up. But before we do that is obviously making sure that we do all the bits on the loco that obviously big hands and fingers will damage. So things like putting the masking tape onto the glazing, take the couplings off, and all of those other good bits. We do that before we put anything that we can break on the loco. So that's what we'll do now. With the body shell removed, I was able to insert the driver and the second man into the cab. Now these guys are the Accurascale provided crews. I did a little bit of touching up on their hair and some of the trousers, stuff like that, but generally they're not too bad. And also, as you can see, I've also just put a wash over the back bulkhead there and the driver's console at both ends of the locomotive. Now that wash in effect is this, which is the Citadel product. I use it a lot on my son's Warhammer, basically soldiers and stuff like that, but it gives a really nice clean wash, so just darkens it down, dulls it down, but it's not over obtrusive. So yeah, so you get the nice colours of the bulkhead coming through, but it just gives you that dulling down. With the interior now done, I look at the exterior of the body. So as you can see, I've masked up the windows where the windscreen wipers form that arc. I've also masked up one of the windows there, so in effect you can imagine that obviously with it being open and closed it wouldn't be as dirty as the rest of the window. So not too sure how that's going to look, but I thought I'd do that anyway. And also all of the lenses, so you've got the main headlight and the two tail lights there, so those have both been all of that, so basically all of that's been masked up now. So now it's the case of adding the Bescott totem on there, the BR arrows, and then that's in effect all of the major details on the body done. Before we move on to any spraying, it's important just to pick out all of the detail with some washes. So similar to the internal, I've got a couple of washes there, obviously like a brownie colour, and the null oils are quite like a blacky colour. But again, you don't just smother everything in paint, you try and wash it into small crevices, giving a little bit of overspill, and you can pick that up with obviously the airbrush, and that's what I'm going to do in a minute. So it just gives you that line detection really, so you can really see them popping out. And what I will do is once it's been sprayed, I will then just go over very lightly with that wash again, just to emphasize those areas. But see, also you can see I've got the Beskut plate on as well now, and the arrows on there as well, so that really brings them out from the body. And again, because I'm not too sure if I'm going to really seriously weather this or just do a light weathering, you could potentially put spots of rust and obviously rust wash coming down as well, so I'll think about that when I'm going through it. Now with obviously all of the hose detail put on, I'm not entirely sure if I got that correct for this particular era. I did trawl through the internet to see if I got all the right pipes, but yeah, I'm sure there might be some comments to say that there's a pipe there that shouldn't be there, but I wasn't too sure. And the instructions could have been a little bit better, and to be honest with you, it was incredibly difficult trying to get all of that lot on there. I believe Cavalex are doing something a bit different now in the future with some magnetic coupling, like the details, so you can obviously just pop off your standard couplings and put on the detailed ones, which I think is a definite way forward. But anyway, with that now done, I'm now going to look at obviously some other bits of weathering, most probably around the fuel pipe areas. And one of the other things I was looking at doing was obviously lightening up some of the grey and the yellow and the roof detail. Now what you need is exactly the right colour, and then just add a little bit of white to it, just to lighten it up, and then spray that on. Now unfortunately, I've not got much in regards of these colours in paints, and I'm a bit concerned that if I try to match it, it may not look spot on, and therefore I might just leave that for the time being. As I say, that's the easiest way of doing it. It's just get the actual colour and just lighten it up slightly, and then just spray it into patches, generally in the mid panel areas. The effect is excellent. I've done it before, but again, you've got to have exactly the right tone of grey to lighten it up, because if you get the wrong tone of grey, then the whole effect is markable, and you can see it quite easily. But I'll have a look. I might actually have some of the right colour. I'll see what we can do. As I mentioned earlier, the lightening up of the panels really does set the loco off quite well. And I did some paint matching, and I actually found that the roof was a pretty good match to Executive Dark Grey. So I gave it a bit of a once over, and obviously, as you can see, I lightened up a couple of the panels. I'm not too sure how well they've come out on the camera. Once I'd completed that, then I went over with a very light roof dirt colour, so that just obviously emphasised some of the joints. And as I said, what I'll do now, once that's dried, I will go over and emphasise those joints. But yeah, generally quite pleased with what we've done. So I decided not to overdo it with the weathering, so it's more of a light to medium weathering. The roof itself is not necessarily overly dirty. None of that really dirty black soot coming out of the exhaust, so it's had a clean at some point in the near past, shall we say. So just light dirt really. But again, as I say, just going through that process, obviously a lot of work, obviously getting the guys inside there, getting obviously all of the detail buffer work in there, all the pipe work, etc. And then with a series of washes, just bringing in, accentuating obviously all of the joints between the various panels. For the roof, obviously I did spray that up a little bit to lighten up some of those panels. It's not necessarily coming out very well in this light. And then just as I say, just a light spraying over, just picking up on areas where water would have come down, etc. And then again with the washes, especially around the bogies, so you can see there's that greasy type of effect around the axles and the suspension areas. And then again, obviously where the battery boxes are there, various areas of water coming down there and other detritus and stuff like that. So yeah, so it's been quite enjoyable. Didn't necessarily take too long. And again, as I say, like I say, with all weatherings that I do, less is generally more. If you go in heavy, you'll realise that you've overdone it. And to be honest with you, if you look at any photographs, and I would strongly recommend anybody to get a photograph of a loco that they want to weather, you will find that they're not just completely caked in dirt. Generally, there's obviously a collection or build up around certain areas, generally the front and the underframes, but the sides are generally quite clean. Now, again, some of the freight locos or engineers locos like this one were not really cleaned a great deal, where some of the, should we say, more tier 1 top link locos would have obviously got a lot more looking after. And especially obviously if you remember back in this area of Network Selfies coming in, it was all new logos, all new branding, so they wanted to give a good branding for those various liveries, more corporate type of marketing maybe, but for obviously the engineers, trains and locos, nobody was that worried. Anyway, just hope you enjoyed that. Obviously, please subscribe and like, and any questions, please drop them in. And now we'll just have a couple of clips of it doing some running.